You ever watch a storm brewing long before the thunder hits? That's what's happening in Cleveland right now. Because Ryan Clark just went nuclear, live on ESPN, accusing Kevin Stefanski of trying to bury Shedeur Sanders on the Browns' depth chart. And he didn't sugarcoat a single word. He said Stefanski wasn't ready to draft Shedeur, didn't have a plan to handle him. And now, the whole situation is spiraling out of control. The craziest part? He might be right. See, this isn't just another quarterback controversy. This is a full-blown identity crisis for a franchise that's been chasing stability for decades. Because when you draft a quarterback like Shedeur Sanders, a name, a brand, a legacy, you don't just get a player. You inherit a spotlight. Cameras, expectations, comparisons, it's all baked in. And right now, Cleveland looks like a team that had no clue what to do with it. So tonight, we're breaking down exactly what Ryan Clark said, why it matters, and how this one decision could define both Shedeur Sanders' future and Kevin Stefanski's career. Ryan Clark didn't tiptoe into this conversation. He kicked the door open. On live television, he flat out accused the Browns head coach of mismanaging one of the most high-profile rookies in the league. His exact words were clear. If Shedeur Sanders isn't even the backup quarterback, it's time to part ways. Trade him, because your plan clearly isn't to develop him. That line sent shockwaves through the NFL world. Because when a Super Bowl winning safety, an ESPN analyst, someone who's lived inside NFL locker rooms, says a coach isn't ready for his rookie, that's not gossip. That's insight. Clark wasn't speaking like a fan or a pundit. He was speaking like a man who's seen how politics, ego, and poor planning destroy talent before it ever gets a fair shot. And here's what makes his words sting even more. He wasn't wrong about Cleveland's history. The Browns have cycled through quarterback after quarterback. Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, each one supposed to be the guy. Each one ending in chaos. So when Clark looked into that camera and said Stefanski didn't have a plan for Shedeur the person, not just Shedeur the player, he was calling out something deeper than football. He was talking about leadership. Because every coach in the NFL says they can handle pressure, but handling media pressure and handling a media magnet are two different things. Shedeur Sanders is both, the talent and the headline. The Browns didn't just draft a quarterback. They drafted Deion Sanders' son, a walking storyline. That means every sideline camera, every locker room mic, every press conference question will orbit around him. And unless your head coach is ready to navigate that with confidence, you're going to drown in it. Clark knows that. That's why he emphasized process versus plan. Stefanski keeps saying we have a process, but a process without a clear destination isn't development. It's confusion. You can hear it in his pressers. Vague phrases like we're still evaluating or he's learning the system. Those aren't answers. They're placeholders. And Ryan Clark called it what it is. A coach who drafted a quarterback he didn't truly want, and now doesn't know how to use him. When you look at the Browns' depth chart, it's painfully obvious. Buried behind veterans who already hit their ceiling. He's not getting meaningful reps. He's not in the 2-minute drills. He's learning by watching, not by doing. And for a competitor like Shedeur Sanders, that's a slow death. He's spent his entire career proving people wrong. At Jackson State, at Colorado, every time someone said he's just primetime's kid, he made them eat their words with numbers, poise, and leadership. And now he's sitting in Cleveland, watching journeyman take snaps while the coach shrugs through questions. That's why Clark's rant resonated. It wasn't just about football mechanics. It was about accountability. If you draft a kid who brings that much attention, you owe it to him and to your franchise to have a blueprint. Otherwise, you're not building, you're burying. And that's exactly why Ryan Clark's comments hit the NFL like a thunderclap. He wasn't ranting for clicks. He was holding a mirror up to the Browns' culture, because this has never just been about talent, it's about vision. You can't claim you're developing the future of your franchise and then treat that same future like a long-term project collecting dust on the sideline. Think about what Clark said. If Shedeur isn't the backup, trade him. That wasn't hyperbole. That was a professional saying, don't waste a young man's prime figuring out how to manage the noise. Because the truth is, Shedeur is the noise. He brings a spotlight, yes, but he also brings electricity. And the only thing worse than an unprepared rookie is an unprepared organization that doesn't know what to do with a star in the making. Inside locker rooms, players can feel when a coach doesn't fully believe in someone. It's subtle. The tone in meetings, the order of reps in practice, who the cameras follow after drills. That stuff matters. It shapes confidence. It shapes perception. And before long, it shapes reality. If Stefanski truly believes Shedeur can't handle the heat, then why draft him in the first place? If he can handle it, then why hide him? And that's what Clark was getting at. The mixed message. He sees a coach talking about patience, but showing hesitation. He sees a player ready for opportunity, surrounded by veterans who know their time is temporary. And he sees an organization that, once again, is flirting with wasting potential because it's afraid of a little media pressure. What makes it all sting even more is how easy this could have been handled. A simple public plan, a roadmap, would have shut down the noise instantly. Shedeur's our future. Here's the development path. Done. Instead, we got silence, speculation, and a locker room wondering who their coach actually trusts. And in the NFL, that silence gets loud fast. Let's talk about that timeline, because when you map it out, the whole thing looks like a slow-motion car crash. The Browns drafted Shedeur Sanders knowing exactly who he was. A confident, polished quarterback with arm talent, pocket presence, and the mental toughness to handle the spotlight. From day one, he was supposed to be the future. But instead of a clear developmental plan, Cleveland did what Cleveland always does. They improvised. Training camp started, and Shedeur barely saw first-team reps. Preseason rolled around, and instead of giving him extended drives to get comfortable with the playbook, they buried him behind backups who'll never start a meaningful NFL game again. And when reporters asked Stefanski what the long-term plan was, his answers sounded more like a politician's speech than a coach's strategy. We're still evaluating. He's learning. We're taking it day by day. Translation? We don't know. That uncertainty kills confidence, not just for the player, but for the entire team. When you have a rookie quarterback sitting behind a carousel of average options, it sends a message. We don't believe in him yet. And once that message gets out, it's hard to tape back. Here's the thing. Every successful franchise builds their rookies' confidence early. They don't hide them. They prepare them. They design moments that test, teach, and reveal character. That's how you build a quarterback. That's how Patrick Mahomes learned behind Alex Smith. That's how Jordan Love finally grew into Green Bay's system. Development doesn't mean invisibility. It means structure. But in Cleveland, there's no structure, just confusion. And confusion breeds chaos. The Browns could have owned the narrative. We're grooming Shedeur to take over by midseason. Instead, they created a vacuum. And in that vacuum, Ryan Clark stepped in and said what millions were thinking. If there's no plan, then there's no future. And if that's true, the Browns aren't just wasting a season. They're wasting a franchise quarterback before he's even had a chance to take the field. Now let's talk about the Shedeur factor. The one thing everyone in Cleveland seems to underestimate. This isn't just another rookie quarterback. This is a young man who's been under lights, cameras, and scrutiny since the moment he could throw a football. He's Deion Sanders' son, yes, but more than that, He's a brand, a mindset, a movement. He brings more than talent. He brings attention. And attention in today's NFL is currency. Everywhere Shedeur goes, the story follows. Reporters track his throws. Cameras catch his expressions. Social media dissects every post, every caption, every look. That kind of gravity can't be coached. It's natural. But it's also dangerous when the organization around him isn't ready to handle it. Because the spotlight doesn't just expose the player, it exposes the culture. And right now, Cleveland's culture looks shaky under that heat. Ryan Clark knew that's what he was pointing to. He said, Stefanski doesn't mess with Shedeur the way the public thinks he should. That wasn't about play calling. It was about energy, about vibe, about the invisible wall between a coach and his quarterback that either builds trust or breaks it. When your leader doesn't connect with your future, you've got a cultural problem, not a performance issue. The irony? Shedeur was built for this. He's calm under pressure, polished in interviews, and confident enough to handle the noise. He's been mocked, doubted, and underestimated his entire life, and he's turned every ounce of that into fuel. You can't intimidate someone who's grown up in the center of the storm. So when Cleveland tries to protect him from attention or media chaos, they're misunderstanding the assignment. Shedeur thrives on that energy. He doesn't crumble under the spotlight, he commands it. And if the Browns don't realize that soon, they'll smother the very spark that makes him special. Because Shedeur doesn't need silence to grow. He needs belief. And right now, that's the one thing he's not getting in Cleveland. Here's where things get complicated. The line between sabotage and protection isn't always clear. From the outside, it looks like Kevin Stefanski is burying Shedeur Sanders, refusing to even give him a taste of that QB2 role. But what if, deep down, he's trying to protect him? What if this isn't about ego, but fear? Fear of throwing a young quarterback into a chaotic system that could break him before he's ready. It's a fair question. The Browns' offense right now isn't exactly a stable environment. The line's been inconsistent, the play calling's been questioned, and the locker room chemistry looks like a work in progress. So maybe Stefanski is playing the long game, keeping Shedeur out of the fire until the foundation around him is solid. It sounds noble on paper, but in practice, it's risky. Because protection without progression still equals stagnation. If you truly believe in your quarterback, you don't hide him from the storm, you teach him how to stand in it. Every great QB has had those early defining moments. Mahomes watching, Hurts learning through chaos, Burrow taking hits but growing with every snap. They didn't wait until things were perfect. They grew by surviving imperfection. That's how leaders are forged. The danger for Stefanski is that his silence and hesitation don't look like protection. They look like avoidance. And in the NFL, perception becomes reality fast. The media sees a buried rookie. The fans see confusion. The players see mixed signals. Suddenly, your development strategy starts looking a lot like sabotage. Because if you keep a competitor like Shedeur Sanders sitting too long, you're not protecting his confidence. You're testing his patience. And patience has limits. So, is Stefanski quietly playing 4D chess or just fumbling the most important hand he's ever been dealt? Either way, time's running out to prove which one it is. Because every week Shedeur sits, the whispers get louder and the narrative starts writing itself. Maybe the Browns never believed in him at all. So now, it all comes down to this. The Browns are standing at a crossroads, and every direction leads to a different kind of legacy. Option 1. Name Shedeur Sanders the QB2. Give him a plan and start building around him. Option 2. Trade him to a team that believes in his future more than Cleveland seems to. And option 3. The one that haunts every Browns fan. Do nothing and watch history repeat itself all over again. Because make no mistake, this isn't just about a roster spot. This is about the kind of franchise Cleveland wants to be. Are they the team that finally breaks the cycle of dysfunction, that learns to nurture talent instead of smothering it? Or are they still the same old Browns, talented, emotional, and eternally one bad decision away from implosion? Ryan Clark said what everyone else was too afraid to say. If you're not developing him, you're destroying him. That's the truth. There's no middle ground in the NFL. Either you build your young quarterback or you bury him. And right now, the Browns are digging a hole deeper with every vague answer and every wasted rep. But here's the beauty in this mess. It's not too late. Shedeur's story isn't written yet. He's too talented, too mentally sharp, too relentless to fade quietly. Whether it's in Cleveland or somewhere else, his time will come. And when it does, the same people who doubted him will be the first ones pretending they believed all along. Kevin Stefanski has one chance left to change this story. He can either be the coach who unleashed a star and saved a franchise, or the man remembered for wasting another generational talent because he was afraid of the noise. And that's what makes this moment so powerful. Because no matter what the headlines say, one thing is clear. Shedeur Sanders isn't waiting for permission. He's waiting for his moment. And when it comes, everyone will remember who stood in his way and who finally let him shine.